move the conversation over to college football in some of the bigger games that are seeing line movement. This one has leveled off, guys, but quick early money was on Clemson to dismantle Boston College. That line goes from 17 to 20. This is an interesting spot, Teddy, because I think you have to kind of eliminate the Boston College games that were played without Dillon, who is such an enormous part of their offense. They're a respectable football team. I don't know how they are in basketball, but this group is good in football. And I understand Clemson's playing great football, but consider this. The Tigers were, 17.5, 18 at home against a really bad Florida State team. They're laying more than that now on the road at Boston College, which is a pretty capable squad. Do I think BC can win? No. But as we talked about, Marco D'Angelo, myself, and Kelly Stewart on a video we just shot for Wager Talk today, that line's big.
It's really big. I mean, this is Clemson being priced like Alabama. And, I mean, Clemson's put some real whoopings on teams in recent weeks, and the markets are certainly reacting to that. But I'm with you 100%. BC, in theory, is supposed to be able to run the football. And if you can run the football against Clemson's going to have a hard time covering 20, and sneaking upwards.
By the way, rare night game in Boston for this one at Chestnut Hill, home of the Eagles.
Though that being said, if BC can't run the football,
then they're going to get killed.
It'll be the same Clemson score that we've seen for the last month.
They have to get the ball up and down the field and at least kick some field goals. Patrick, this was a big early hit on Clemson at the books. It does seem to have leveled off now.
Yeah, it has leveled off at 20. It may creep back up as you get close to the weekend and the public comes in, but John Murray at Superbook said, I was surprised by how high this thing opened, and then the sharp money at 17.5, and as you guys have pointed out, now up to 20. He pointed out it's pretty crazy when you think about the year BC is having, but at the same time, Clemson is phenomenally said.
They're just they're great. I mean, yeah,
they're Alabama.
It's Alabama. Clemson looks like a done deal. I mean, somebody's going to have to play their worst game among those two to not make it to the finals.
Right, and you guys have seen over the last week, a couple of books are starting to post some odds on just that. Alabama, Clemson in the championship game, and Clemson 8.5 or so underdog. He said the public's certainly going to be on Clemson as well. Like I said, they already saw some sharp money there. But with this number, he said some people are going to take flyers on the BC money line, and Clemson is going to be in every single parlay.
Kentucky, the dream crusher for Kentucky last week is they could not stay with Georgia. They didn't play a bad football game, but they were the second-best team in the field. However, the bettors, at least the market right now, indicating they do not think the Kentucky Wildcats will have a flat spot coming out of that defeat as they go to Tennessee. Patrick, the money has been showing on the Wildcats.
Yeah, this is mostly at the Superbook anyway, mostly a market move. However, they did see some sharper money at 4.5, which helped in its move up to 5.5, 6, and so forth. So they're definitely not shying off of that right now.
And if you're looking at series history here, you're not going to find anything.
Well, no, but that's Kentucky's undone a lot of that series history this year.
Sure,
they beat Florida for the first time, and I think since Ulysses Grant was president.
Exactly. I mean, they did beat Tennessee last year by a field goal.
Yes, but that's such a bad Tennessee team last year. At least Tennessee has stabilized this year with the new coach. They've got a lot of rebuilding to do, but the Volunteers were a complete mess last year. Everybody knew the coach was going to get fired, and you know how things are when everybody knows what's going to happen.
Sure, and Kentucky was -4 at home there. They're -6.
Should have covered, by the way. I had Kentucky. I had Kentucky in that game, and they dominated the football game. And I don't remember how Tennessee covered, but it was like, what just happened?
I'm not inclined to be laying nearly a touchdown with Kentucky on the road this week.
Not
it's
this
just
spot.
that simple.
I mean, that's still. Maybe they don't have bounce at all, but they were really geared up for that game last night. It was the biggest home game they've had in a long time, and they didn't get it done. TCU, this is just the mystery of the year to me, is how bad TCU has become. I mean, I thought they were going to be a top 25 team, and they're nowhere near the top 25. And now they have to go face this West Virginia juggernaut that's coming off a great win. And, boy, how excited are they right now? Because Dana Holgerson goes for the win and gets it at the end of the Texas game. Good for him. That's the way to do it. West Virginia's flying high right now. Might they let down here in what now looks like an easy game? The betting market thinks they will. because there's been some TCU money here.
Well, there's been nothing but TCU. I'm sorry, Patrick. But,
No, fire away.
Yeah, I mean, there's been pretty steady TCU money, as Patrick will tell us in just a moment how much has come in. But, I'm seeing 11.5s from an opener as high as 14.
Yes.
So they certainly are expecting something of a West Virginia letdown. And, we give Gary Patterson a lot of respect, and he's earned it over the years. But Gary Patterson's allowed to have a subpar team, just like Bill Snyder's allowed to have a subpar team that's not going to cover in the roles that they're usually covering in, and that's been the TCU this year. I mean, a lot of it's been the quarterback play. The quarterback play has been dismal from the get-go, but let's not forget, it was, last year they won 11 games. The year before, they were a sub-500 team, and everyone was saying, boy, what's wrong with TCU? And now we're saying it again. Hasn't been a decade since this happened. It was 2 years ago. So, maybe for all the speed that the Horned Frogs have, speed isn't the be-all or end-all. That being said, they're taking a bunch of money against the Mountaineers.
No question. John said, we have taken a lot of money, all on the underdog. Numbers come down, obviously. He said most of the money was at plus 13.5. But he feels like it's a tricky spot for West Virginia, so perhaps it's merited. He said you got a noon kickoff here, coming off a huge win. Oklahoma is looming for West Virginia, so he can certainly see why money is coming in on TCU. If West Virginia gets it done, that West Virginia-Oklahoma game could be a peach.
I love the spot for TCU. I just don't like TCU.
Right.
So that makes it tough. Oklahoma State and Oklahoma will match up. An exciting game last year with Oklahoma pulled out. The Sooners are starting to get regular backing, Patrick, and that's the case again this week. Is a big number has gotten bigger.
Yeah, they took money at the Superbook at minus 18. Now they're up to minus 20. Obviously, Oklahoma State a little bit down this year, and Oklahoma, as almost every year, they're still in the mix for the college football playoff. But the total is interesting on this too. Oklahoma games, I mean, some of these are getting into the 80s and 90s. John said they're still working up. They haven't posted totals yet, but you can see some at the in the global markets. You can see the total is out there. He said last week there was a sharp group on under 79 in Oklahoma, Texas Tech, and John, I quote John saying that never had a chance.
No, that was pretty much like the Rams Saints total, and
exactly.
It's like you knew 5 minutes into the game. It's like if you got the under, you just go watch a movie or something because you're dead.
Exactly. Thanks, but no thanks. And of course, last year these two teams 62-52.
Yeah.
Although that was with Mason Rudolph and Baker Mayfield. Although, certainly from the Oklahoma side, Kyler Murray's not a guy I'm in any rush to be betting against. I do worry about that Sooner defense, though. And, certainly from a quote-unquote value standpoint, Oklahoma State coming off a bad loss at Baylor where, the markets are crashing on them a little bit and the money's pouring in on the Sooners. You can understand it. And Oklahoma 3-0 straight up and against the spread against Okie State over the last 3 years. 3 touchdowns is a lot, though. I mean,
it is.
It is in a rivalry game, in a game where there's no need for style points for the Sooners.
Not really. If Oklahoma wins out, they'll be in the playoff.
There were concerns, the top teams are going to. No, it's not about style points. It's about winning. If you win, if Oklahoma wins,
I think they'll be in the playoff. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Because this year they have a championship game in the Big 12, which is, if they didn't have that title game, then I would say, you know what, you better win by a lot, guys, because people are going to forget you on Championship Saturday, but that won't be the case.
Sure, and somebody's going to lose on Championship Saturday.
Oh yeah,
always.
Let's go to Washington State, Colorado. Washington State, Colorado, and look what has happened to the Buffaloes, who once upon a time were 5-0 and were getting poll points from people who don't follow college football but have a vote because Colorado was never that good. And then Chenault got hurt, and it has been straight downhill since then. Washington State almost let one get away last week against a pesky California team, Teddy. The betting market says Washington State's going into Colorado and winning without that much trouble. This line, considering where it opened, this is a pretty substantial spike.
Sure, but at the same time, you're still getting the best point spread team in college football this year off a win and a non-cover, their first non-cover of the season, and you're laying less than a touchdown against a Colorado team that, things have gone wrong. And you say circle the wagons time. Do they have wagons to circle?
I don't know. I mean,
they
might not qualify for a bowl. No. They started off 5-0. They're going to be 5-5 if they lose this game, Patrick. And the betting market says they will.
Yeah, exactly. As you point out, 4.5 to 6.5. John said not a whole lot necessarily at Superbook, kind of moving with the market there. But Washington State having a great year. He feels like Leach is one of the best coaches in the country, and doesn't feel Mike Leach gets enough credit
right.
for the job he does there. And I think he's entertaining as hell, too. That's a fun guy to sit in on a news conference with. You never know what you're going to be talking about by the time the news conference ends, but there's a 50-50 chance it won't be football. No, that's a really good team, and unfortunately my alma mater is slid tremendously. I know there's been injuries and so forth, but I'm just not impressed with the coaching. I thought the way they handled the USC game was not good. I just had a feeling they were going to go in there and lay an egg, and they did. The offensive play calling was very non-dynamic, and I'm not surprised they are where they are. I thought they were a hoax at 5-0.
They were. And we have, these are always fun, a big game where we've had a change in favorites. And Patrick, you can tell us about that in the rivalry matchup between Texas and Texas Tech.
Well, yeah, we got a flip here in a little fence-jumping line move from Tech -1 to Texas -1.5. Excuse me, getting all my Tex and Texas confused here. But Texas Tech from -1 to Texas -1.5. A little bit of a flip. And John said part of what's at play here, John Murray at the Superbook said part of also what's in play here is certainly parlay money on Texas in this game. And Texas in a bit of a bounce-back spot now, too.
Sure, and I mean, Texas has seen a fair bit of market support this year, and it's, we didn't see a whole lot last week against West Virginia, and the way they get
I think that ended up being kind of a sharps versus squares because the public was more on Texas, but the sharp market definitely liked West Virginia last week. Turned out to be an absolute thriller, which you could make a case either side was the right side.
On the other hand, now here's Texas off back-to-back losses, heading on the highway and laying a price against a Red Raiders team that, they beat Texas last year. They're certainly a squad that, the yardage stats aren't good. They've been out-yarded against Oklahoma and Iowa State the last 2 weeks in losses. But when you watch them play, they're capable. It feels like a pick'em game, sure.
Yeah, it really does. That's not one I'm going to be taking a shot in. One of the Joe's angles of the day, which are on a 16-4 run, one of them that came up in a couple of games last week is back again tonight. And we'll tell you about that next.
The Las Vegas Sportsline.
Hello, friends. This is Thomas Johnson from Joe's Seafood Prime Steak and Stone Crab. Need a great idea for lunch or dinner? Your best bet is Joe's, one of the most popular dining destinations on the Strip. Joe's provides the ideal setting for private parties with accommodations for up to 150 guests. Stop by to see us at the Forum Shops at Caesars and ask for Thomas Johnson, your maitre d'.
And Marco D'Angelo probably did ask for Thomas Johnson, his maitre d', as he was there for his birthday with his lovely wife, Lori. Marco had the Dover sole, which is, it is such a good entree. And his wife, this is interesting because this was a while back. There was a National Fried Chicken Day or National Fried Chicken Week or something, and Joe's has fried chicken. I found out this morning, by the way, why that's still on the menu at Joe's. Interesting story. I'll tell it sometime. But anyway, they had brought a bunch of chicken here to the studio, and there was enough for everybody to take some home. And Marco took some home, and his wife commandeered it and absolutely loved it. So she just couldn't resist last night when they went down there for Marco's birthday. She got the fried chicken and loved it once again. It doesn't matter what you get on the menu at Joe's. You're going to like it. Make a reservation, 702-792-9222. This is an angle rerun from Ralph Michaels, but it worked so well, we got it again tonight.
Sure, it worked a few weeks ago, and this is an angle that is not team-specific, which I always like. You play on a team that's off back-to-back wins, blowout wins by 27 or more, facing an opponent which allowed 36 or more points in their last game. Over the long term, look at this one, 130, 54, and 4 against the spread, 71% winners. So tonight, it says play on the Ohio Bobcats. Ohio off of 52-14 and 59-14 wins. Miami allowed 51 points in a loss to Buffalo last week. So the angle says play on the Bobcats minus the points from Ralph Michaels.
That's Teddy Covers, along with Patrick Everson, here for our Wednesday show. I'm Dave Cokin. Ari Platinum is doing the producing, and we have with us right now, from Covers, Mr. Jason Logan. What's going on, Jason? How are you?
We have Andrew Caley, actually.
What did I write down? Oh, it's Andrew Caley. I'm sorry. I got my Covers guys confused, and I wrote down Jason Logan. Oh, you know why that is? That's a Freudian slip because I have to contact Jason on something. Okay. Forget it.
No worries, Dave.
Okay. When you get to my age, I actually wrote down Jason Logan, and I knew it was you, Andrew. All right. Well, Are we going to go game first, or are we going to go food first, Patrick? What's the batting order here?
What do you guys want to do first? I think we should do the food. The food sounds interesting.
Yes,
I'm so hungry from that Joel's commercial.
All right, let's
we're
go.
on the food topic, and as usual,